Season 4. It looks a little different right now because today's episode is going to be a little different. I've got my buddy Tom Cristino on, who's going to be taking the ranks in the realms of hosting, and we're going to add No Stress Midwest as one of the illustrious guests to our podcast season. So, Tommy, I'm going to pass it on to you, and it's your world now.
What's going on, everybody? I am pumped to be here. So, Bryan, obviously, a perfect time for us to do this podcast. I know we'll obviously touch base about No Stress Midwest, but just the fact that we're living in a soccer whirlwind right now with all the games from the Gold Cup, the Euros, the Copa America. So I don't even want to talk about your business just yet. I need to get some soccer out the door here. So I mean, what are you thinking, man? First off, give me your take on Messi hosting his first continental trophy. How dope is that?
Yeah, man, it's dope. I mean, this summer, yes, it's been a ton of football that's been going on. Messi winning his first international trophy. I think everyone that is not a Ronaldo fan wanted him to win. And I think the people that were big Ronaldo fans are like, dang, now we can't hold that one over his head, right? So now, legit, the only difference is Messi has one more Ballon d'Or and Ronaldo has one more Champions League. So, that's, I
It's
mean,
neck
we're
and neck.
witnessing the two greatest people ever to play the game, I think.
I mean, it's very unlikely because usually in July of every year for the last 15 years of our lives, there's just been this crazy debate with LeBron versus Jordan. That's because LeBron's always in the finals. He's
Hmm.
not this year, so it's just kind of swept under the rug. And we talk about that debate here in this country so much, but think about it from every other country's perspective. The Messi Ronaldo is Jordan LeBron 10 times more.
Yeah.
And you're right. It's like all those Ronaldo fans didn't want him to get that trophy because of the seesaw that those two are on. But I mean,
Yep.
hey, listen, with someone who has no stake in the game, I love witnessing their greatness. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think, and I was telling someone this the other day, we need to just appreciate, and people say it a lot, but just appreciate being able to watch these two play by turning on the TV and it not being on a highlight. It's them playing because I think that we won't see something like this again as far as the two greatest, arguably greatest players in the world playing at the same time and constantly going at it. Like when one person wins one thing, then the other person wins the other thing.
It's all
They both were the leading goal scorers in Copa and Euros, and they're 30 something.
they bring each other up and
Yeah.
it's amazing. Now those are two great names to always discuss, but I'm going to give you three other names right now. Sancho, Saka, and Rashford. Man, what about that ending? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, man, that was tough. I did not want England to win. I will preface everything with that. Uh, their whole "it's coming home and it's never been home" thing, you know, wasn't for me. And the Italians, the no pasta, no party. And when they played Spain, they said "pasta la vista," and I
Love
just
it.
was like, "All right, they're catchy." Um,
Yeah.
Very unfortunate, obviously, for Rashford, Sancho, and Saka. And the sad part was when they lost. After the first 30 seconds of me celebrating Italy winning, I was like, man, the racial abuse on these three is going to be out of this world.
And it was. I mean, the mural in the news today, it was sad. I mean, I'm so glad they covered it up, and then
Yeah.
the Good Samaritans came out and supported those three. But man, it's one of the unfortunate ththings about soccer. But
It's tough, and I think a lot of people have been criticizing Southgate as well. And it's I think the England job as any manager position is very tough because you're coaching. So you the only one that knows what the dynamic is, what people are doing at training, what all this stuff is. So, he made a decision that he stood by and still stands by it. And, that's how it goes. But not being an England fan, they made the World Cup final, or World Cup semis in what, 2017, 2018. And then they just made the Euro finals this year. So, that's the two best endings I've ever seen them have in a international tournament. So I feel bad for them, but they're all young and they're all the best players in the world, you know. So Rashford, Sancho, and Saka have got a very, very promising career ahead of them.
Yeah, this is true. That's and I mean, yeah, that's the truth. And you never know what goes on the field. You gotta always delegate to the coaches' decisions there. So we just hey, there's Euros, there's Copa. I mean, I gotta get your feedback on this now. Qatar being in the Gold Cup, man. I just, they get the invite. They're playing in the CONCACAF essentially now for the Gold Cup, and this is the World Cup host country getting to play against, very scrappy and tough, gritty competition. And just as a general fan right now, how do you want them to fare in the upcoming games?
I'll be honest. I haven't thought twice about them, nor do I think I will think twice about them. And no disrespect to Qatar, but I mean, they have the World Cup. I mean, that's I feel like kind of their only claim to fame right now.
Yeah, it's a very corrupt situation, them getting
Very.
the World Cup, and I guess again, not really having too much stake in it. I just want to see them completely fail, though, and I hate to say that, but I mean,
Yeah,
it's like we could have had the World Cup here in 2022 versus having to wait till 2026. So maybe I'm just thinking of that too. But
I
um,
think, however, though, 2026 will be a better chance for us to do something.
very true.
I don't think we're there yet in 22. I definitely think we'll get a new manager, and those players will be able to mature a bit more, and we'll have hopefully some more um, MLS and American products going overseas and getting some
Yeah.
top level competition, so they can come back and actually, do something and not beat Haiti 1-0.
It's
Um,
um it's a really good time to be a soccer fan. And what's amazing about you and No Stress Midwest is you decided that all this love and passion that is for the game of soccer, that you want to make this your career. Hey, I work my corporate job. A lot of my friends and our friends do. But you decided to kind of leave that all behind and do that on your own and say, you know what, soccer is my life, soccer is my passion. I'm making this happen. So now, while I get to get really excited about doing a podcast with you at 9 p.m. Eastern time, nonetheless, you're doing this all day long. I get excited over these 45 minutes to talk soccer. You're doing it 40 hours plus a week. So I guess my first question, because hey, we are talking about the entrepreneurial season of the No Stress Midwest podcast. What kind of went into your inspiration of leaving the corporate life and doing soccer full time?
yeah, I think the big thing was it was like maybe 2 months into 2 months into working as an engineer. I was in corporate America, just moved out to Kansas City. Um, and I was like walking out of work and I was just like, yo, I can't do this every day. And like for 40 years, I was like, I had a feeling that there was just more that I wanted to do. And at the time, I didn't know I wanted to coach. So it wasn't like I'd made this revelation, so many years ago, but I knew that it was something more I wanted to do. And I started coaching while I moved out here in KC within like the first few months. And it was a passion, but it was just a hobby. Like it was like I enjoy coaching. I make a couple extra dollars from it. I get to be around the game. Like it's cool. Um, and then it was maybe 2018 and 2017, 2018. I had the worst club seasons of my life. Like I think I won one game in like 3 seasons, whatever. It was tough. And at the club time, a parent was like, "Yo, would you be interested in being a head coach for a high school?" And I was like, "Ah, man, the high school I'm at right now, we're winning state like every other year. Like I'm content. I don't have to do that much, whatever." And then someone else, like 2 days later, sent me the same job rec and was like, "Yo, would you consider being a head coach?" And then I was like, "Okay, this is something I want to do. This is something I could do." And then my engineering job, my contract position, wasn't renewed. So then I was like, okay, I'm not going to have a job in a month and a half. I just got this head coaching job. I'm doing the one-on-one trainings a little bit. I think I only had like 5 or 6 kids. And then all that happened. I'm just like, yo, screw it. Like if I'm gonna do this, like let's do it. I want to see what I can do from it. And then it's just been kind of like a fly by the seat of my pants as I go kind of thing.
Yeah, I was scrolling through TikTok today. Yes, I'm 31 and I'm addicted to
Boy, TikTok,
TikTok.
huh?
It's
Okay, big
it's a
TikTok guy.
thing. It's a distraction and I love it. But I was scrolling through and I saw this TikTok video that was a quote from Kevin O'Leary, one of the Shark Tank hosts, and he said, "Salary is a drug that they give you to help you forget about your dreams."
Hmm.
And I never heard it before. And knowing that you and I were having the conversation tonight, I just thought that I was like, oh man, that was really awesome. And I said, that's kind of what you did. You just said, forget about it. We're gonna kind of go
Yeah,
with it. And obviously, at any point in your life, if you ever needed to, you could jump right back into your engineering because of your extensive experiences. But why would you, right? Because you don't need the
right. You
salary.
know, and it's that salary thing is so true because listen, I was telling someone this. The only reason why I'm where I am now and not in engineering still is because I didn't get a promotion. And I remember there was this engineering promotion, and I was like, I'm gonna get this. I've done all the work. I've been here 3 years, blah blah blah, and I didn't get it. And it was at that moment I was like, yeah, screw this place. Like this isn't it. And I'm so glad I didn't get it because if I did, I would have. I guarantee you, I would have
You would
still
have been hooked in.
been at
Yep.
Honeywell.
Yep. Yep.
So yeah.
Well, I mean, everything falls into place for a reason, and now you decide that No Stress Midwest is your life, your passion. So, I'm sure most of the time, you're kind of talking to people and passing at practices and games and telling them about No Stress Midwest in kind of like an elevator speech, elevator pitch type way. But floor is yours right now. Like, to tell us what No Stress Midwest is really about, and what it is that you plan to do with it.
Yeah, so it's funny you asked that because like I remember texting you like 11 o'clock one night, like, yo, what is this? Like what am I building here? It started off as soccer training, and that was the main thing. And then we added apparel, so we've got some clothes. You're wearing some stuff. I've got on a shirt. So it was then clothing and training, and then I started a podcast. So then it kind of became like a media-ish type thing. I don't know what you call it. And then this past year we added a tutoring service, which is something I'm really proud about. Still have not had any clients yet, which has been tough, but working on that. And ideally, I'm trying to make No Stress Midwest a business that caters to the student and the athlete, and not just making better kids, but turning them into better adults. By adding a scholarship fund here, hopefully soon, being able to then give those players and students that graduate from us and go to college, being able to give them some money for a book stipend or book voucher, and pay the club fees for kids that can't afford it locally, right? It costs like $2,700 a year to play for a decent team, a decent team. If you want to play for a top team, you can add in at least another $700 for tournaments and showcases and all that. So to me, it's ridiculous that if you don't have $3 grand a year extra, you can't play for a good team here. So that's kind of and I didn't even say what it is because I don't know what it is right now. It's still in its infancy, and I
Yeah.
don't want to categorize it and then have it become that when it could become so much more. Right?
Yeah.
It's like your parents telling you as a kid you got to be a doctor, and let's say you don't want to be a doctor, but once you hear that, everything in your brain is okay. I'm going to be a doctor. Everything's always in the doctor's view. What happens if you want to be a marine biologist, right? The way you look at things are just going to change. So I don't want to classify it. I want to let it be and turn
Yeah.
into something.
Well, I think what's great about that too, it almost reflects a coaching philosophy that you and I have talked about, which is, when you're building up an athlete, or in this case a person, you don't want to you want to make sure the foundation and the structure is very steady and strong, because oftentimes with athletes, get these coaches or these role models who will push them too far and just go way beyond as far as they need to go. And next thing you know, you're just putting all these additions and then you're building all this stuff. And at the end of the day, if the foundation, the structure is not good, what good is that for the individual athlete, right? And the analogy that I like to use, it's like building a house. If you're going to build a house, obviously you want a good structure, but if that structure has termites in it, you're going to want to get rid of the termites first. You're not going to start building on the garage and a deck and more rooms and a basement if there's termites, because what are the termites going to do? They're just going to spread. And next thing you know, you built this entire house and there's just damage everywhere. And I know that's something that you kind of preach with your athletes and the way you build them up in your training sessions, where you take them down to these small little details, but you build their structure up.
Right.
And I mean, I see it in your coaching. I see it in the way No Stress West is coming too, because to your point, you're not trying to just throw a bunch of things on the wall and hope things stick. You're carefully looking at opportunities. You're carefully looking at, ways to improve, you as a person, but also the athletes you bring into the academy. So that's great. It's, to kind of just segue off that, it's interesting because I was just having a conversation with Kirk DeWardy, one of our friends, and he just got his 5-year-old daughter into coach soccer. And one of the coaches there was telling all the parents at like their first little meeting, like, oh yeah, I played varsity soccer. I've been playing soccer my whole life, this, that, and the other thing. I'm well equipped for this job. Well, we all went to the same high school. This kid didn't play a lick of soccer. And you're starting to see this kind of become a trend, because in having other conversations with local friends here, the football coaches are doing it. More and more soccer coaches are doing it. And there's just all these coaches out there that aren't teaching them the fundamentals. They have no clue what they're doing. So, I mean, my question to you is, as someone who does this now for your life, how do you kind of combat that struggle that, like, parents are just getting fed a load of bull crap? How can you get to them and then get to the kid?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. Um, I was, I was like that coach when I first started training and coaching. I was like, hey, I just played, varsity soccer. I did not play in college, and that's the first question I always get asked: where did you play? So letting down all these parents every time, and I'm like, oh, I played in high school from New Jersey, a small high school. But yeah, the U.S., at least in soccer, has the most unqualified coaches per player, right? We have so many unqualified coaches walking around trying to tell kids what to do and how to do it when they, in fact, don't know how to. And now that I started a training business and now that I'm a coach, I can see it and I hear people talking, right? And I think one thing we've kind of talked about is like, I listen to what people say, not so much how they say, but what are you saying? Like, do you know what you're talking about? If a kid has taken 7 bad touches, right, with his left foot, let's say, can you look at him and figure out why it's a bad touch? Like, and if so, can you help him fix that? And I think that that's something a lot of people don't know how, right? They were just good players. And regardless of the sport, I think we just have this mindset where if we were a decent player, we'll be a decent coach, if not a better coach, right? Because we watch TV and we watch the game. And I'm like, man, I thought the same thing. And I went into my first coaching course as a D license, which is like starting off. And that absolutely blew my mind at like how coaches looked at things. And every license, and I think soccer is a very unique sport here, especially in the States, where we have licenses for you to continually get better if you choose to. And I just focus on me. I know that I know my stuff. I know that I'm doing everything I can to become a better coach and learn as much as I can, and never say, "Oh, I know everything," or I know more than you, or whatever. And it very well could be I know more than most parents that are trying to tell me what to do as a coach. But I think that being able to still understand, for me, there's people that know so much more than me,
Mm-hmm.
and how do I learn it, right? I was in North Carolina the other week listening to like just professional coaches during matches, during training, and just listening to the stuff they said and the things they saw. I was just like, I mean, I was a little kid in a candy store. I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, like, how do you know this stuff? Help me know it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, So to go back, it's a problem, yes, because there are a lot of, I think, untrained coaches and trainers that say they are and all that. But I look at it as when a player works with me, they know I know my stuff. If a parent is listening to my training, they know I know my stuff.
Mhm.
And I don't know too many people that will come and train with us, and I'll know there's this other guy that was better. It might be cheaper, it might be more convenient, but I'm confident in myself where I know that I know the game and can make people better. It's just how I feel.
Are you a student that's struggling a little bit with the hybrid and virtual learning and looking to get just a little more help academically? Or are you a parent that has a child who's struggling to keep that same level of discipline and rigor that they had in the classroom at home? If any of these apply to you, check out No Stress Midwest Education, an academic tutoring service where we offer both in-person and virtual tutoring. One of the things that separates us from others is that all of our tutors are board certified educators in Kansas and Missouri in a variety of specialty topics and familiar with the latest curriculum in school districts around the metro area. We are passionate about helping students achieve their goals in the classroom and also committed to helping students build the necessary skills and tools they will need in the future to succeed on their own. Our team follows the latest guidelines from the CDC. We require masks for all in-person tutoring to protect both the student and the tutor. Our tutors will either travel to your home or meet at a predetermined location to conduct all in-person tutoring sessions. All we need is a space for learning, and we're ready to go. At No Stress Midwest, we truly believe in developing the well-rounded student athlete. No Stress Midwest does not tell you what to think, but teaches you how to think. No Stress Midwest Education, an academic tutoring service. For more information, visit www.nostressmidwest.com/education.
Yeah, and I mean, when in doubt, you could always just show them all the soccer trophies that we racked up from our club days because our
Yeah,
trophy cases
you.
were quite large, man. We won a
Katana
handful of
Knights,
those
man.
tournaments, and
The
we
Katana Knights, baby.
we did some damage back in the day, man. So I think that's enough credentials. Am I right?
I tried telling them that, and some people that really know the game are like, oh shoot, I've heard of Katana Knights. I'll
Yeah,
look back.
the dynasty, right?
Yeah,
Um, so for me, being in that corporate role in my life and being a new homeowner, soccer is my outlet, right? I mean,
right.
of course, I've grown up with soccer. I love it. It's my sport of choice. But I'm playing in three, leagues throughout Monday through Friday, right? Co-ed leagues, rec leagues, just all kinds of stuff. Pick up games when I can. I'm watching the games on TV when I can, just to crack open a beer and just relax. And I mean, I'm completely hooked on Ted Lasso. I hope you've watched it by now
Of
because,
course.
I mean, first off,
Right.
he's from Kansas City. So I hope
Right.
and that's my plan. I plan on binging it again before season two
Yeah,
comes
I've
out.
seen it twice.
It is my favorite thing about that show, Brian, is that there's just so many like subtle jokes for the long-term
That
soccer
just go
players.
that go right over your head if you don't know it.
Like
You
the scene when the ref calls an offsides and Ted Lasso goes like, I really need you to explain it to me. I don't know what it is. And
see,
then like it fast forwards to like the 60th minute in the game and he's like, okay, now I get it. It's like, yeah, man, because no one understands what offsides is.
and that's true though, bro. My mom watched your mom how many years of soccer, and like if I was like, Mom, explain what offside is, like she
Nope,
couldn't, and not
can't do
like
it.
my mom because she doesn't know it. It's like all parents.
Nope. It's great. But oh, I'm so glad you watched it because I haven't had a chance to talk to you about that. I went on like Etsy and just like started looking at all these like Ted Lasso hats and shirts and coffee mugs, and I was like, yeah, this is gonna be on my birthday list.
Bro,
Make
yeah,
shopping for my wife a lot easier this year.
him and Beard, man, the 1-2 coaching combo, bro.
Hey, maybe you and I could do a Halloween costume one time. I'll be Beard,
Hey,
so
that means
give
you
me a
actually
couple weeks.
that means you have to come out and visit. So
Oh man, I got to do that soon, man. I owe you that trip, man. I voted to you for a few years. Um, So I loved, just one thing about No Stress, No Stress Midwest that you said. It's like it's in the infantry stage. You're not really putting a label on it. But hey, if you're an infant, you got to learn to walk sometimes. So 5-10 years from now, where do you see yourself? Where do you see No Stress Midwest? And kind of what's the outcome here for you?
Yeah.
And I mean, hey, there's no right or wrong answer, right? I mean,
Right.
it's
Yeah.
July
Hey,
13th, 2021. We'll look back on this in a few years and laugh either way. So
and we can hope that some things that I said here aged well. Um,
Ted Lasso season 8.
in the next 5 years, what's that? 2026. Um, I think personally, I plan to be coaching professional athletes at the USL MLS level. Um, I think that that's a good short-term goal for me, and I feel like I'm very close to achieving that. So personal, that's 5 year. No stress Midwest 5 year. Um, it's definitely going to be to have our own place, own facility where we're doing our tutoring, where we're doing our training, where we could be doing our podcast, where we're everything, have a store front, just have an all-inclusive building that we can do everything in one spot.
Don't
And
forget the podcast studio inside the building
of
too,
course, well, of course, dude, of course.
because you have to start now that you're going to be a professional soccer coach. You can start flying in your guests,
And
and just
having
get from
that, of
people from
course.
all over the world. It's going to be awesome.
Well, you'll be hosting it.
Well, thank you for the
Yeah.
responsibility. I appreciate it. One thing I just have to ask, because I know I'm hosting you right now. But who were some of the other podcast guests that you actually had on? Because I know this season's kind of under wraps right now, but we're gonna
Yeah.
release them soon. So what are we looking at?
Yeah. So for the entrepreneur season, I've had the two guys from Boot Bags, super cool people, Jordan and Shane. I've had Added Time Outfitters, talk with DJ. This was someone that you reached out to. I had this guy Peter Arch, who's like the VP of Gymshark, and like started this company.
Gymshark, that's Ryan Garcia's brand, right?
Yeah, he's
Oh, that's awesome.
one of the there's athletes. But he started a company here called Challenger Sports, which was like soccer camp, travel overseas, uniforms, like they just did everything.
Oh,
So
wow.
he was kind of talking to me about, and he's British, right? So a little older. So what the soccer culture was like when he first moved here. And if you had a British guy that you knew as an American, you just listen to everything he said as it was the Bible.
Oh, that's
And he
cool.
was kind of talking about like how once they heard that, he called all of his buddies and was like, "Yo, the States is the place to be. Come on over." So I've had them already. I've got a few more people lined up. Sports Lab 360. Hopefully getting the Soccer Cooligans, two funny comedians up in New York. Um,
We got to get talisman caps on, man. I got their Beer Adana mug. So this is our shameless plug to get
Look,
talisman caps on right now.
I love it.
I love their stuff. I think they got a Ted Lasso cap. I'm gonna have to just buy and then drop them a note.
Well, and Added Time Outfitters, DJ was telling me they're working on a hat
For
with,
Ted Lasso.
yeah, well, with Talisman.
Okay, even better. That's a cool. That's a
Yeah.
cool collab.
So yeah, so that's who we've had on so far. Um, to go back, I do hope that like in 10 years, at least for No Stress, I hope the business is like an IMG Academy of the Midwest. I want to have all sports. I want to have tutoring, its own education system, or accreditation, I should say. Um, uh, Podcasts, apparel, more of what we've been doing. Add a few other things that I don't want to get into too much because I just don't want people taking my ideas.
It's funny you mentioned IMG Academy, because I I feel like the IMG Academies of the world, in the sense of especially listening to like Grant Wall's podcast on Freddie I Do, it's like those are the types of academies that almost overwork and stress out the athlete, and do it in a way where they're not actually hitting their expectations. And I'm not saying that's the reason for like Freddie Abdu's kind of faltering career by any means, but it's the academy, yes, but it's almost like the entire purpose of what you were trying to do is completely opposite of that, right? Because you are trying to build a lifestyle beyond just the training and beyond just the soccer skill set. Because you just mentioned it again. It's like, oh, we have a podcast where we're inviting people in to talk about the sport, to talk about how this is their passion. We're bringing education into the mix so these kids can come and get tutoring services and learn and then go play the game that they love. And again, this is just the infantry stages of it. Who knows what else is in store for No Stress Midwest? So it's like the pure version of IMG Academy done right, in a sense. Where you're really bringing these kids up and grooming them on and off the field. So
yeah, and I'm open so that it gets to that big point, right? There's a lot of things that have to happen before that, a lot of steps, but I'm not thinking about all of those steps necessarily right now. Just taking that first one, getting comfortable with the ground I'm on, and then going to take the next step.
I know we had talked about this before, but the statistic was, I don't know the exact number off the top of my head, but it was like athletes by the age of like 11 or 12, over 75% of them quit their sports because they're not having fun anymore. And that, coupled with the fact that you're seeing a lot of these athletes today, professional and even some of these younger ones, start talking about mental health more and how, the stresses of the sport are getting to them. And it's again, you're literally preaching the opposite of that, which is it's so unique and so cool. And it's going to be really cool to watch No Stress Midwest blossom over these next few years. And
I appreciate
having the academy and having the hub that does it, it's going to be great.
Yeah, well, they say, one thing I learned when I took my C license was when you're coaching, the players have to have fun. Like and it's not even so much players, but like you, Tommy, like if you're enjoying what you're doing, you're going to do it at a higher level and you're going to want to do it for longer and you're going to be willing to bend a little more backwards to make that work. So if I want to get the best out of my players, I need to make sure they're having fun. And having fun isn't like, skipping down the field, holding hands, singing, like zippity doo dah. No, having fun could be, you having a very difficult training session and maybe getting your ass kicked and you walk out of it like, dang, that was good,
I have to ask, I'm going to ask you two questions and I need rapid answers here. What was your favorite and what was your worst drill as an athlete?
When I played, anything that required conditioning without a ball, just throw it out. I hate running. I still hate it. I hated it then. I'll probably hate it tomorrow. But it was such a necessary part of the game. So I understood why I had to do it, but that doesn't change the fact that I hated it. My favorite would probably be, I feel like with any kid, it's finishing, shooting. Our high school coach, I will say, did this during tryouts. We would have combat drills, and it was like, it was very little soccer, and it was very big, like holding your own, being aggressive, physical. And he would, call us out. We'd be in a big circle, and it like one activity, Tommy. Let's say you and I were both goalies, okay? I was the one, you were the two, or vice versa. He would call out two people that were in competition with each other, make them go at it. So the first one, like activity, would be like, I'd hold the ball in my hand, and he would say, go. And then you had 30 seconds to rip the ball out of my hand.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And if if you did it, then yeah, you won or whatever. Then I would get 30 seconds. Or there'd be one where the ball is sitting still and I have to shield it from you. And you have 30 seconds to tap it as many times as you can without me touching the ball. So we're legit like just shoving each other. Like you're trying to dive over me to touch it. I'm diving.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, but it sounds like, to your point though, like the word fun, like it sounds fun, and I'm sure the rest of the team is just going nuts watching it. So
having everyone just like, oh, get him, like granted now you can't do that. I'm pretty sure like there'd be some lawsuit that comes up from it. But at the time that was like, I was nervous because I'm like, man, I'm about to get called out. But then like the feeling of like when you win and all your teammates are there cheering you on, and it's just like, yeah, mofo.
We I mean, come on, you have to remember the World Cup days when at end of practice you and your partner played World Cup,
Well,
man.
yeah,
That was my one of my least favorite to play because I was the
you're
goalie.
the goalie, yeah.
And you had the teammate throwing those balls right over the crossbar, landing
And
3 feet in
someone
front
just
of you, and
right
then
off
just
the
all
bounce,
and then they're throwing
boom.
3, 4, 5 balls
Yeah,
in. But I mean, I hated it as a goalie, but that was the game that just had so much camaraderie. Like seriously, those games were fun. We played them at
yep.
club and the high school level, and they were awesome. One of the worst drills, though, I'll tell you, we did this interval run. I probably told you about this before, where 45 minutes, our coach would set the timer on his watch, and the team would run around the nets, just field length. And every 30 seconds, he'd yell sprint, and you'd sprint for like 60 seconds. And then he'd be like, all right, jog. And then you jog, and then sprint again. You'd sprint for 55 seconds. And
Yeah.
then he'd say, like, walk, jog, sprint, and all. And basically, when it was done, it was 45 minutes, and it was to mimic half.
Half, yeah.
And all of us were dead after the end of it. We were, exhausted on our knees, like huffing and puffing, drinking water. And our coach was like, this is how you should look at halftime after every single game. And if not, you didn't do your job out there. And it's a pretty good lesson, like pretty good point. Like, you should be running, you should be, taking up all the space on the field. But hated doing that one. That was not fun, especially for a goalie.
For sure, yeah, you're
Yeah,
the
hated doing that one too.
least conditioned person on the field.
I'll be honest with you. I don't think there's any fun goalie drills out there at all. You're usually
Yeah.
just getting balls blasted at your face at all times.
I don't blame you there. I enjoy shooting on goalies, but that's about it.
Yeah, you didn't take many shots on me because you were my main defender. So, I don't know if you and I have much of a competitive streak here. We're usually buddies on the field.
Yeah, I know. And it's weird when I tell people I used to play sweeper. Some people don't even know what a sweeper is, and that's the time.
I always liked you at stopper a little bit better, though, because I felt like you really could take a little bit of the runs through the midfield a little bit better. And you were so long and lanky back then, before you kind of like grew into your body. Back in them club days, you could take off though, man. It was just like, oh, look at this gazelle running up the field. No one's stopping him.
Those were good times with Cristino, man. Good time.
Are you ready to take your game to the next level? Trust the process and sign up for No Stress Midwest training today at www.nostressmidwest.com/training. No Stress Midwest primarily offers training for soccer players on the individual, group, and team settings of all ages and skill sets. Our training is customized for the player, and our goal in doing that is to continue to grow the love of the game, build a personal desire to want to develop, and create the chance and choice for the player to play at the next level. We have developed a unique solution here at No Stress Midwest Training, showing our clients that you can have fun while still getting better. By creating a unique training environment customized to the player, we feel that not only are we able to get the most out of the individual by creating a no-stress environment, but we are also teaching them fundamentals that they can carry off the field and apply in their everyday life. Visit our website at www.nostressmidwest.com/training and sign up for your first session today.
They really were, man. So what do you got in store for the remainder of the evening, my friend?
So I've got a list of like 12 things I've got to do for No Stress Midwest. Business plan, finances,
Grind doesn't stop.
constant contact stuff, business.
Great. Hey, great. Not to share the secrets on the podcast or anything, but that open rate on the constant contact was quite impressive, man. I was very very happy to see that. It means that you got a good group of readers there. So
Yeah, I know, dude. Yeah, that was actually really chill. But yeah, I mean, just a whole bunch of no stress stuff. Like you said, it never stops, ever. But there was a quote that it's like, I'd rather work 80 hours a week for myself than work 40 hours a week for someone else. And that's really what it is. I don't get paid much because it's just not there yet, but I believe that what I'm doing, like in that 5-year plan, 10-year plan, I mean,
Yeah.
it's gonna set it sort of itself out.
Well, as the host, I will toot your horn a little bit for you. I know a lot of people in this world that sometimes try to chase a dream where, and I'll never discourage someone chasing a dream, but I'll say that they do so in a manner where they're the circle and they're trying to put themselves in a square hole, and it just doesn't fit.
Yeah.
And everyone should chase their dreams, and live that life and be happy. But I think what individuals need to recognize is that in doing so, it has to fit. It has to fit. It can't be forced. It just has to be organic. And soccer is absolutely for you. No Stress Midwest is going to emulate everything that Bryan Turner has to give. And again, July 2021, it's a great conversation to have about the business. And we should do this again next year and the year after, and just keep getting these annual updates and see how this thing grows.
Yeah, bro. No, it's been fun, man. It's been 3 years to see it grow into what it is now. 3 years ago, like some of this stuff I wouldn't have even thought about was possible. Looking at an indoor facility today, like these are things where I'm like, oh shoot, like this is a business. Um, and yeah, I look forward to talking with you. I mean, we speak pretty regularly, so like if we didn't talk for a year, I feel like it would be huge. But I do enjoy chatting with you in between those times because you're a very marketing and branding and business kind of minded person where although I'm running a business, I wasn't a business major. I don't like know what I'm doing other than doing it and then seeing what's successful, what's not successful, hearing from you and some other people. So I appreciate that, your help with the constant contact stuff and just giving ideas on how people will click on a link, right? What are buzzwords that makes people want to click? Um, so yeah, man, it's just been a fun journey. Uh, been a fun journey just being able to do all this. And like you said, soccer is like the one thing that I think I know for sure. Like I don't know anything about, I don't know much about physics or whatever. I was an engineer, but like I wouldn't say I know engineering. I would say I know soccer, I know football, and I enjoy it. So when you are doing what you love and what you enjoy, it's fun. It's fun.
Absolutely. Well, on that note, I don't think I have anything else to say, man. I would just tell anyone who's been listening to the podcast for the last 30 minutes, you know, follow No Stress Midwest on Instagram, follow them on Twitter, check out the website for the updates, even follow you on Instagram because most of your stuff is No Stress Midwest related. Follow along, man. We're growing and, get with us now and it's gonna be a fun ride.
I'm glad before we go out and before I'll throw in all the plugs at No Stress Midwest, www No Stress Midwest,
I'm trying to remember the script here.
all of that stuff. But you said something. You're like, we are growing a lot, and I think that's cool because having you on board with helping out and having other people that have like see this and they're like, yo, I want to be a part of this. I want to help out. Eventually, I hope to make this your full time job, and maybe all you're doing is just interviewing people and doing branding and marketing for us. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, hey, we it's always going to be we in a game of soccer because there's no I in team, and certainly not in a sport where there's 11 people on the pitch where each of them has their unique jobs. So it's always a team effort.
I love it.
I love it. So, well, I'm going to go bang out a few work. I'm going to Savannah, Georgia. So, get this. Your listeners will appreciate this. So, I'm going to see our old friend Mark. He's down in Savannah, Georgia, living there with his wife now. And Mark played club soccer with us for many, many years through high school and all that.
Mark was a cheeky little player, bro.
So he just bought a home down there in like one of those HOA communities. And he's been down there for about a year now. And he just found like a group of guys in his community to play pickup games on Thursday night. And he's been telling me how like great it's been and our flight lands Thursday afternoon, and we're gonna get there, right around that time he's playing pickup. And I was like, well, the girls can go do their own thing because Mark and I are playing pickup. Because if you think I'm going down to Savannah and not playing some soccer with him to start my vacation off, you're out of your mind.
Yeah.
So, and he kind of said to me at first, like, wait, you serious? And I was like, yes, absolutely. I'm bringing my boots. We're getting after it, man. So,
That's dope.
so starting off my vacation Thursday afternoon with a little bit of soccer in Savannah, Georgia. I'm sure it's going to be a little hot, and I don't know what the town's going to be like, but I'll represent some No Stress Midwest gear.
There you go. And there's not, I'm pretty sure there's not much to do in Savannah. So I feel like you might actually have an audience at your pickup games.
Oh, that would be good.
Might not be much else going on in the city.
Yeah.
But yeah, bro, no, thanks. Thanks for doing this, flipping the roles a bit.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun.
If that's all you got, can I take the host realm back from you, or do you still want to? You've got the mic in your hand, so I didn't know.
I mean, you can take the host back, whatever. This is just,
No, so everyone, thank you for listening to another episode of the No Stress Midwest podcast. We're in season 4. This was Tom Cristino hosting, myself as in talking about No Stress Midwest a bit. I've done a lot of time and had a lot of guests sharing their stories. And when I was doing the entrepreneurs, Tommy brought up the ideas like, yo, why don't you go on there? And then I was like, if there's anyone that I would be comfortable with letting host my podcast, it's going to be Tommy, the guy who talked my mom into getting us FIFA Street, Red Lobster, and like staying up until I don't know how long playing soccer. This guy could talk my mom into buying us anything.
Yo, I'll tell you though, that you bring up FIFA Street, man. I saw this question the other day. It was, which video game could you replay for the first time over again? And my answer would always be our favorite game, Ratchet and Clank.
I was going to say
that
FIFA
game
Street
was
or Ratchet and
off
Clank.
the chains.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you though, man, I'll be honest. When I thought of that question, I didn't think about the FIFA Street, and I'll be honest. The first time we played,
bro,
together,
was unreal.
Woo,
I was
like the things those guys did,
dude. Here's the thing. Now,
and it was like unrealistic, but realistic. It was weird. It was awesome.
Now, I've got kids that do that stuff. Like I've got an outside back who's one of the cheekiest people with the ball, and I'm like, when I was your age, I didn't even like people couldn't even do around the world. That wasn't even a move. Like it's been wild. But FIFA Street was one of them where I saw people doing moves, and I was just like, wait, someone does that? Someone can do that? Crazy.
That game was incredible.
Crazy. So, all right, Tommy, thank you for being the host. The listeners, thank you for listening. We'll be back with another episode of season 4. Take care.
Take it easy, buddy.